Welcome to Sharpen the Axe. Explore the bleeding edge of guitar and bass gear. Discover a sound uniquely your own and cut through the noise. With your hosts, Eric Lucero and Paul Berezetsky.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Sharpen the Axe on EnterTalk Radio, powered by Pitbull Audio. What's up, Paul?
No, not much. Getting ready for NAMM.
That's right. It's coming up. I can taste it. NAMM is approaching soon. All the noise, all the chaos, and all the awesome gear. But today, we have with us our featured guest from Riversong Guitars, Mr. Mike Miltimore. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fantastic to be here.
Great to have you here. So glad you could make it here in person and bring all your beautiful guitars.
Well, you know, the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon came into alignment for this. When you guys phoned me, I just happened to be coming down for the NAMM show, right?
That's right, yeah.
It'd be fantastic. Plus, it was minus 32 degrees at home today. So
I feel like going to San Diego for a minute.
Yeah. So it's raining in San Diego pretty much right now. So this is like a nice tropical vacation compared to that weather.
Amazing. Yeah. You know, don't get me wrong. I like the cold because it's very good for guitar wood, and that's where all the wood comes from, right? So it grows really slow and everything like that. But the snow and the cold is the same as San Diego.
Yeah.
It is nice.
Yeah, we are a bit spoiled over here with the weather, and I have never heard of a good guitar lumber coming from San Diego. So you guys have won out. And of course, the lumber goes into these amazing instruments, which are surrounding me in the room today. I love this. So why don't you tell us about the one that you have in your arms right there?
Well, this guitar here is one of our latest. It's one of the ones that I'm most proud of. Of course, being a guitar builder, you always put your latest and greatest into the last one, and the latest one's always your favorite. So the Tradition 2 Performer is what this guitar is, and it's 100% domestic woods. That's something that's really near and dear to my heart, especially now with the CITES thing that's going on, where you can't ship rosewood anywhere. Like, I think that took the industry totally by surprise. But we've been working really hard for the last 10 years to develop sustainable wood guitars. And we're right on top of that curve. So this is just one of them. You can tell it's 100% domestic woods because of the maple leaves that are in there.
Yeah.
We use walnut fretboards and walnut rings. It's such a beautiful wood. We couple it with an Eastern Canadian hard rock maple neck, which is super stable. And it feels great. You know, it's when you have all the components and before you put the guitar together and each one rings and has that kind of feel and soul, when you put it together as a final guitar, it really comes together. We use black walnut on the back and sides of this guitar. And these comfort cuts that are on the back for your rib and your armrest bevel, these are made out of sugar maple.
Really?
And the sugar maple's kind of being torrefied. It's cooked, right? And it smells like maple sugar. And you know Canadians and maple sugar, right?
Yeah.
So we're sanding this stuff down, and it smells so good. And one day I thought, maple sugar's good. I put some in my mouth. It was the worst thing I've ever done.
Regretted it immediately. So you guys must have like the best smelling factory, because like the smell of fresh cut wood plus that smelling like sugar maple.
It is amazing. It is amazing, and it's one of the things I love is all the different aromas of the different woods. And then, of course, on our guitars, we have these things called tone rings. And the tone rings allow the top to be really open and vibrant because it breaks up the structure all the way around, kind of like a speaker surround does. And allows it to have more movement. So we used a black walnut tone ring on there. And the top is very, very special. So you guys know Sitka spruce, right?
Yes.
Sitka spruce is a coastal wood that goes along the Pacific Northwest. It's beautiful. It's warm. It's kind of a dark, peachy orange kind of in color. And then there's Engelmann spruce. And Engelmann spruce is a high mountain wood that's very tight grain, grows really slowly because even though it's minus 32 in Kamloops, where Engelmann spruce is from, like the Revelstoke area and the Alpine area like that, it's far colder.
Yeah.
So the stuff grows really slow. And above Kamloops, these two woods come together, these two forest ranges, and it creates Lutz spruce, which is what this guitar has on it. So it's got the warm depth of Sitka, but the punch of Engelmann.
And is using the use of Lutz spruce unique to you guys?
You know what? Actually, I think what happened was when they were cutting the logs and resawing up, they didn't make the grade. They weren't Engelmann, they weren't Sitka, and they looked funny. So they just put them in another pile. But the problem was the guys sorting the lumber, when you feel it, it vibrates. and it sounds different. So you're like, well, wait a second, there's something special about that guitar, but it doesn't go by grade, by looks, because the industry grades everything by looks, which I think is a problem. So so they put it in a pile, and it ended up probably on a lot of Chinese guitars. And you'd be like, oh, that one sounds good, right? So we decided that we'd trace down why those pieces of wood sounded right, and it came from the Skeena Valley, which is a natural hybrid. So I think we're one of the very first to use it. It's starting to become popular now. Yeah. But it's awesome, and you can see it's got a lot of the silking going across it, the coloration of the Sitka,
that peachy color you were talking about shining through.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
And this at Pitbull Audio, first off, anytime I want to play an acoustic when I go into the storefront, this Tradition 2 Performer is the one I go for. But this one has always caught the acoustic customer's eye. Just, ooh, what is
including
that?
me when I was in there first saw this thing. I gotta say the bevel edges caught my attention because that drives me crazy on acoustics. It's just digging into your arm.
It's comfortable, right?
It's awesome.
Yeah, same with me. You know, I grew up in my family's music business. We've had a music store since the 70s, and my dad named me Mike like a microphone. And in that role, I've never had another job, but you know, you learn a lot of things about what you like and don't like, and you develop a lot of common knowledge. So you guys being in the guitar industry, you guys have a lot of common knowledge. You know things, and one of the things are sharp edges on acoustic guitars.
Yeah.
They're not comfortable.
I have a big full body jumbo. That's my main acoustic, and I love it to death. But it's gotten to the point where my forearm is actually almost making the binding and sides separate because it's just rubbing against it all the time.
Sure, yeah.
So as when you guys came in and first brought in these Riversongs, and especially this one, like I said, when I played, I'm like, oh crap, that feels so much better. I mean, you guys are pretty damn close to getting me converted full on. I like what I see.
Well, you know, it's a quality of life thing, but also on all of our models, we quarter round the edges, so they're all really a soft edge, and they're really comfortable.
Nice.
So that's really important.
And the sound hole on the top, which I don't think you're the only company that has that design, but that's a great touch because if you're just playing by yourself for yourself, you want to hear that depth.
It's your own monitor wedge on top of the guitar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's that, and actually where we put it is very strategic. You know, there's a lot of companies, and it was a really boutique thing. Now there's some more mainline companies starting to come out with it, but a lot of companies put it up here.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I've
to
seen
me,
that.
it's like a weird spot.
That's for your girlfriend.
So where I put mine is right here, and it's right on axis to the bridge plate. You get the bass response from it being a port. You also get the mids and the highs from the bridge plate. So, you know, traditional guitars without a port, when you play it, what it sounds like is it sounds like this, right?
Yeah.
If you flip the guitar up, it sounds more natural.
Yeah.
So with our guitar design, I wanted to make sure that it sounded natural coming up to you, that you were getting as much volume up as it was going out, so you're not overplaying. So that was a huge thing for us.
Interesting.
Did you guys notice the disc in the center?
I was just going to ask you about that.
I was going to ask, like, so it reminds me of, like, say a diffuser you see on the walls of a studio. Is it a similar function, or what is that? It's in all of your instruments.
Yeah, so I'm a sound engineer. With our family's music store, that's what I specialized in. I do sound system engineering and design, and for arenas, for council chambers, for all that kind of stuff.
Oh wow! Right
and I do live sound. I don't do a lot. Don't worry, I don't do a lot of studio stuff. So I do a lot of live, and I was doing sound for a bluegrass festival, and the guy was hovered all around one microphone, and they started playing. And they reached up into the microphone to do the guitar solo, and it sounded awful. You know, there's a lot of low mid that comes out of the front sound hole, and it's not even or balanced. And I thought, I don't know if it was just the hot sun, because it not only does it get really cold in Kamloops, but it gets really hot. We're like minus 40 to 40 is our temperature range. And I don't know if it was sunstroke or what the deal was, but I thought I need to diffuse that energy somehow. So I created this, and it works like a feedback buster. Kind of a thing by tuning the guitar and getting rid of the one dominant resonant frequency in the body. So my goal, there's three things I try to do in our guitars, and that's balance the amplitude from string to string, balance the resonance, which is where this comes into, and the hole. So it's tuned to work together. You can see the little holes all the way around. The resonance is as you're playing chromatically in the first point.
Sorry about that. There we go.
And we're listening to it going all the way up. You'll notice that all the notes are even and balanced in tone. You know, quite often you'll get playing and you'll hit that F note and all of a sudden it's like, what, really loud. You hit the G note and it's really quiet.
Yeah.
A lot of companies make their guitars really resonate at one frequency. So when you play it, it's, that's great sounding, but it's not balanced. So then it feeds back easily. So if you make a balanced guitar for resonance, it's going to be better, right? And the last thing I try to do is balance the sustain of the instrument. So early on, FFT analysis of guitars, I do a lot of that. So I started to measure every guitar I could get my hands on. And I noticed one thing is that the mid-range tends to drop off a lot faster than the bass response on traditional guitars. So, you get something that sustains long on the bass, but the mid-range dies off. Right?
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I noticed on our guitars that when you play, the bass and the mid-range and everything sustain and decay at the same rate.
Nice.
So I threw it onto an FFT.
Actually, you want to do that again? I had a gate on you that kind of closed it off too early.
There we go.
Nice.
So actually on my YouTube channel, Riversong Guitars YouTube channel, you can see I did this with a well-known guitar against ours and just measured it, and it was a great guitar, but you can see the sustain difference of traditional instruments, and a lot of it has to do with our neck through design, because our neck runs all the way through, so we have balanced mass on the outside of the guitar and on the inside of the guitar. When the neck's out, you can actually take it onto the 12th fret, and it balances almost perfectly on your finger. Okay. And when you hold it and you tap it, and we'll show this at the NAMM show next week, when you tap it, it resonates and rings.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So when you play our guitars for the first time, I'm going to make you turn this on and off all the time.
Yeah.
You'll notice that it's very chimey. Everything is nice and balanced and rings.
Yeah.
Oh, we're hitting the compressor there.
Let me kill that. Also, maybe.
Engineering in real
natural.
time.
Yeah. It's all right. It's so.
This microphone and this whole setup was last set for someone who talks quietly, then yells very loudly, then quietly, then loudly. So the compressor was a lifesaver.
Yeah. So I really wanted to make something that was very balanced and even in sustain too. So amplitude, resonance, and sustain, and that's what we've done with our Riversong guitars.
And you mentioned the neck through, which is one of the coolest parts of all your instruments is the neck through and what it allows the instrument to do, or to be done to it maybe might be the right way.
Well, that's the exciting part. When you my original goal way back was to build a braceless guitar. Okay, so actually, let's go back. That's a Wayne's World reference.
There we go.
So why do I explain that on a channel for musicians?
I don't think you need to do it on a guitar show.
So we go way back. And when we first started building guitars, it happened because our music store was getting very busy, our family music store. And I couldn't do everything. I was doing all the guitar tech stuff. My dad was doing guitar tech stuff, but we opened a second location and my dad moved away. So now it was all up to me, right? So I hired this guy. I put out an ad for guitar tech, and this guy showed up, and his name is Mike Trellenberg, and he's a really wonderful guy. He went to a school on Vancouver Island called Summit Guitar Building School, and we became instant friends. Oh, he was in a wheelchair. He was paralyzed.
Oh, wow.
So we started building guitars, and some of the steps were a little difficult for him to do, although it never got in his way, but it was difficult. So I'd start to do some of those steps. I'd start doing the finishing, and it used to drive me crazy, traditional build techniques. It's all about building things too big, too long, too wide, and then bending them and then sanding them down to the complex shape. And I thought, well, there's got to be a better way. Plus, I thought it's like with the traditional bracing of a guitar and the structure, it's trying to make like a tank perform like a race car. Okay, you got something that's heavily braced, but you want it to be light and vibrant. Okay, so I thought if I could build a braceless guitar, I could control all the things in the world, right? So I started to experiment, and my first idea was to grab the strings and pull them back and allow it to vibrate.
Okay.
So I needed to have something to go back to, right? My air hook design wasn't quite working. So what I did is I made a bar that went from the neck, because I knew that the neck was a structural piece, went up into the center of the guitar and attached to the strings and held back that string tension, but was on a pivot arm so it could vibrate. And I experimented with those a lot and made a lot of those guitars that sounded like banjos.
Nice.
If any of your listeners want to learn how to make a banjo, I can tell them.
You're the man. You're the man to teach them.
So I made a lot of stuff that just didn't really have that kind of sustain and tone that we were looking for. But structurally, they were strong, so I could use no bracing. Mm-hmm. And I just kept on working on it. And 2011, I was about to give up, because they weren't sounding quite right. And it was December, and we'd just gone through the Christmas season, and I went home to my wife and I said, our latest prototype that we just built from scratch, it's okay, but it's not really singing loud. And I got one more experiment, and I called it my Forrest Gump moment. Remember when his braces fell off and he realized he could run? That was
Run, Forrest!
That was my Forrest Gump moment. And I realized that by taking those braces, basically, because I had these pieces coming up through the top and holding back the strings, by taking those out and by moving that strut all the way to the end of the guitar, all of a sudden I had a structure, and the top became that brace, but allowed it to really vibrate. Huh. So I cut those braces, and all of a sudden the guitar was like, was big and loud and really rang out nice.
Yeah.
So then we started to experiment, and by March of 2012, we had our new design out.
Nice.
And we had our patents pending on it at that point. I got nominated for an award for Young Entrepreneur of the Year.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and orders started flooding in. We had hundreds of guitars on order and no factory.
Oh, wow. And do you guys still make what that first model was?
Yeah, it's called the Special Edition. In fact, I have it right behind me.
Yeah, let's check it out.
So I called it the Special Edition because it was special. It was the first one.
That explains the name.
I don't want to rename it my first edition.
Yeah.
But this is the guitar. Again, it's 100% domestic wood, so it's got the maple leaves in it. It's got Sitka spruce on the top, which is fantastic. It's got Chilaquian maple on the back and sides. So
I like the caramelly color on there. That's a beautiful wood.
Yeah, and you can see the flaming of it. So in British Columbia, we sell more tone woods to the guitar industry than anywhere else in the world.
Oh, wow.
And our flame maples go to companies like PRS, Gibson,
right.
all those kind of things that they just, it's fantastic. So when I went into the resaw mills, and they've got an entire floor dedicated to some of these companies' woodlot.
Wow.
That's how much wood they process. I said, what are your problems? And they were like, well, you know what? A lot of these companies only want 10% of the tree. The stuff that looks the same. We call it poster grade or boring grade. And I was like, wow, what does the other stuff look like? And they showed me, and we started to hold it and touch it and feel it. Because you know a lot about wood when you hold it. And the stuff was like stiff and rang and looked amazing. Mm-hmm. And none of it all looked the same. So it was like Mother Nature's art.
Huh.
And the town that this stuff comes from is called Chilliwack, BC.
Chilliwack.
Chilliwack.
I like the name.
So I'm in the contest. I got a guitar with maple on the back, and they asked me, what kind of maple is it? So I said, it's Chilaquian maple. And they looked at me and they went, oh, cool. That's how do you spell that? C?
Yeah. HLQ?
So if you look way back in some of the stuff online with me, you'll see that it's spelled 100 different ways. So this is Chilaquian maple, and it's Mother Nature's art, and it's just gorgeous stuff. It sounds great. It's just one of the beautiful exports from British Columbia. And then we used walnut tops, or fretboards, sorry.
So I did want to ask about that. I've noticed across a whole bunch of them, you guys use the walnut fretboards. What led to that decision?
Well, I used to go into the resaw mills, and I'd go in there, and all they'd want to show me is the beautiful, beautiful Indian rosewood, ebony, Panamanian rosewood, zirconi, all this kind of stuff. And I said, well, we're from British Columbia. We got lots of mountains. We got lots of trees. Our forestry industry is huge. There's got to be some domestic woods that would work well for guitars. So I told them, next time I come in, I don't want you to show me anything that's not from Pacific Northwest. The woods don't stop at the border. Yeah. So they did that. And for the next several years, they wouldn't show me anything else. So we used walnut. And, to start using walnut, we really had to adjust our machinery. get special fret wire, do a lot of things to really make our walnut necks fantastic.
How does it compare to rosewood as far as is it as hard, similar?
So rosewood's a lot more oily. It's a little bit softer. Tonally wise, when you tap tone the two pieces, they ring very similarly. And the thing I really like about walnut is it's got some beautiful looks in different colors. There's a wide range of looks to it. So we use it, and it's fantastic. I call it BC rosewood, although I'm not going to do that anymore because of the CITES thing.
Good call.
But it's really fantastic. In fact, I invite you guys to come up to the Guitar Factory, and I'll let you touch it for yourselves and see what it's all about. It's cool.
I have never been to Canada yet, so I'll definitely might take you up on that.
I have, but a long time ago, and I need to get back there.
Yeah. Perfect. So again, Eastern Canadian hard rock maple, really stable. Really good for transferring energy from the neck into the body. So when we say it's got a neck through neck design, it's important to think that it's not a dovetail neck joint. It's not a bolt-on neck joint. It's a totally new classification of a neck joint. In fact, we have more surface area connecting the neck here than a dovetail neck joint has. Okay, so that's good for transferring energy into the guitar. Plus, down at the bottom end of the guitar, this pin I call the tone transfer pin. This puts all of that tension, all the string tension, right into the back end of the guitar.
So it's anchored to the back.
It's anchored to the back. So there's very little bad torsion or tension on the neck joint. In fact, on other models, you can undo the strap pin and pop the neck out, in and out, and you can feel how little tension there is in that neck joint.
Wow.
So it's really, really nice. And also, if you put on your physics hat, this tone transfer pin becomes a fulcrum on a simple lever.
Oh.
Okay, so your strings become the load on that lever.
Yeah.
Your back becomes the spring. This is the lever and the fulcrum. So when you're playing the notes and you're vibrating, it's actually giving just a little bit.
Really?
That's part of what gives us the tone that we get.
Does because that's where the strap button is. Is there any, you put a leather ended strap on that? Is there any loss at all, or is it just doesn't matter at all?
It doesn't matter, yeah, because it's a solid block of maple down here, and it doesn't make any difference at all because all that sound is going straight into here. In fact, compared to traditional ways of putting on a strap, you're damping the body a lot less because it's against the structure of the instrument from the neck to the bottom of the neck. You're really holding up the neck, and the body's floating around it.
Right.
Wow.
So you guys notice when you play our guitars. When you play our guitars, they're very easy to play.
Yes.
And they also feel quite slinky. Right? They feel slinky because of that active body system. When you bend this note, the whole body, the whole thing, kind of like a Floyd Rose system does on electric guitar, just gives just a little bit, and it feels really, really great. So yeah, there's quite a bit of difference in our structure. Do you want to try it?
Absolutely. Now I'll plug it in.
You might.
And I without thinking, I cut my nails before coming on to a show with acoustics to do fingerstyle. but even without that, it just, as you said, it has that slinky, very playable feel. This thing responds well. It's dynamic and is just gorgeous sounding. Like I said, every time I feel like getting out of the back office where I'm usually at Pitbull and want to play in the front a little and go for an acoustic. Sorry, I went atonal on everybody there, but this thing does sound amazing. And we almost got like a in the studio today. We have it like mic'd as you were playing earlier through the Fender Acoustasonic 90 here and through a DI. And no matter how you play this thing, it just always sounds awesome. And also using these Handy dandy, awesomely made Riversong picks here. As you guys said, you guys go green. You guys reuse everything.
We don't waste anything. At my factory, it's a small little garbage can.
Yeah, the entire factory, one garbage can.
In fact, we've just recently, when we make our necks, there's a lot of offcuts of offcuts of maple sawdust.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do Rockstar hamster stuff, not because we need to, but because it's a cool story if we do,
That would be pretty. I would love to see that video. That would be awesome as all hell.
Yeah.
This thing is awesome though. Well, driving. Oh, what happened there?
I just muted the mics for a second just to get the raw sound of the. We're okay.
Oh, no worries.
All right,
All right.
So one thing that I didn't mention that's really cool with these guitars, the company Graftech.
Yes.
And I'm going to give a shout out to Dave Dunwoody here and Tarina. They're really cool people. They're from British Columbia. They're 2.5 hours outside of our guitar factory.
All right.
They've developed tuning machine heads, and their tuning machine heads are called ratio machine heads. And Dave Dunwoody, I don't know what it is in British Columbia. It must be something in the water or something. But
in the snow.
In the snow, he says every string should have a different gear ratio depending on the core diameter and tension. So if you do a full turn on one of those tuners, on the E tuner, you'll go down to D.
Really?
Yeah. No full turn. That was half turn. And it's like that for all the different strings.
Really?
Yeah.
Very cool. We're actually heading into a commercial here in just a few seconds.
Right on, yeah.
I told you I could talk.
Yeah.
We were warned about you.
But
plenty more still to come.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. We're talking to Mike from Riversong. This is Sharpen the Axe on EnterTalk Radio.
And we got giveaways, guys, so keep on listening in, please.
That's right. Right back.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on EnterTalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Hey, it's Tracy Smith
and Beth Venus
of Girls Talk Rock right here on the EnterTalk Radio Network.
Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, Beth, they know that, but we want you to know that the industry pro's choice is Silver Tiger Production.
SDP is a full-service production agency offering sound, lighting, installations, talent buying, staffing, backline equipment rental, sales. Kapow!
It's everything in the entertainment performance industry. It's all that. SilverTigerProduction.com.
Welcome to Sharpen the Axe. Explore the bleeding edge of guitar and bass gear. Discover a sound uniquely your own and cut through the noise. With your hosts, Eric Lucero and Paul Berezetsky.
Hey, welcome back, guys. We are here with Mike Miltimore of Riversong Guitars. What's up, buddy?
You know, it's sunny here. I love it in my world, anyways. You know, it's fantastic.
Yeah, no longer was it 30 below, 40 below?
Yeah, 32. 32 below. You know, when you walk outside and you're assaulted by the air, and you breathe in and your nose freezes together,
yeah,
it's cold.
That's the point where Celsius and Fahrenheit kind of meet, and it means the same thing.
Yeah,
minus 32. You don't have to explain it to Americans anymore.
Oh, good.
It's just cold. That's all we know.
You know. Speaking of temperature being cold and where we build the guitars, I'm in a desert, and I need to keep my factory at a 40% relative humidity. Okay, because that's the average where every guitar goes out. Here in Southern California, I've seen it from 40 to 60%. It's probably higher today.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
and we've gone over the mountains over to the desert area before, and it's gone way down. So humidity plays a huge key role on your guitar.
Yes.
And we were talking in the last segment about ability to control your guitar and everything like that. And we were talking about our necknology and how our structure is stronger, and how I was building a body that was free floating around the guitar.
Yes.
So during the break, I was showing you guys the structure of the instrument. We've actually eliminated all that heavy bracing, and you can see that the top is totally free to move.
It flexes around the neck.
So cool.
I don't know if I can pick a camera to show that. Is that? Can you see that?
Now we are, yeah.
So the whole body vibrates nicely. So, you know, even if we have a dreadnought body, we actually have more resonant area than a dreadnought.
Yeah.
With a cutaway, you know, there's all of this works as part of the sound of the guitar. But for humidity and temperature, let's talk for a second about what it does to your guitar.
Sure.
Because we know, like a sponge, wood expands and contracts. It's almost like a living thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the inside of your guitar is not finished, right? So it actually absorbs and releases moisture very, very fast. So when you get a cold front moving in, like we have in Canada, it's probably 10% humidity in Kamloops right now, which is really low. And your guitar shrinks, and it shrinks against all the bracing. It shrinks against everything because it's all built to be a certain size.
So when it's dry, it shrinks. When it's wetter, it expands.
It expands, correct? Yeah. And in our guitar factory, without even looking at our hygrometers, the things that we use to measure humidity, I can just look at the wood and see, oh, we're off, because all that wood that's normally flat is, that's the sound of the wood changing. It's deformed and funky shape, right?
Yeah.
So that's only if we're 10% off. Now, if we go more than that, can you imagine what the guitar that's already put together, what kind of stresses are on that instrument?
Mm-hmm.
It changes its sound. So you really want to keep it really well humidified. And let's talk for a second about something that nobody ever talks about in guitar world, and that's how you drive the top. Okay, so we know that when you play strings, they pull on the bridge, and when you ring it out like that, it's not moving in a circular motion. It's actually moving in figure eights, because as you pull on the string, it's pulling on the bridge, which is giving a little bit, and you release it. It goes back to center, where it lifts back like this, and then the inertia of the string pulls it back. So it's always doing this, back and forth.
Okay.
That's its pumping motion. And the saddle height is all about that drive into the top. So I like to think in extremes a lot. If our guitar was 6 inches tall with the saddle height, it would collapse the top. It would heave it up. It would just, right? Wow. That's another sound of the guitar wood, by the way. So it would just come right across. Versus if something was only 1/8 of an inch tall, it wouldn't drive it hardly at all.
Right.
Yeah. You understand that?
Yeah.
So the saddle height is really important. Now, humidity. When we go and we go to bend a piece of wood, what do we do to the wood? We use humidity, heat, and moisture to bend it. So when your guitar absorbs moisture, it heaves up.
Yeah.
It becomes more flexible. So you want to have less drive on it. So when we're talking about other guitars, you can't change the saddle height because it affects your action, right?
Yeah.
And it creates problems. So for us, we wanted to make something that was really great. Structurally, it was stronger. And I realized one thing one day, and on the back of the guitar, there's this little adjustment here. And this is the fun part of our guitars. It says raise or lower action. and you just put your Allen key into the back like this, and you can turn it one way. It lowers the action clockwise. You turn it the other way, it raises the action.
So it just raises and lowers the saddle?
Not the saddle. It changes the angle of the neck.
Uh-huh.
So we can change the neck under full string tension, the string height. I don't know if you can see that.
You hear it.
You can hear it, yeah. You
can go from slide height to finger style playing low in the next song, just with a couple quick turns right between songs.
Yeah, if you're in the recording studio and you want something that's really noodly and fast to play, you can do that. Or at home when I'm just playing around, I like it really close. And Mike Trellenberg and we used to fight. Not fisticuffs fight, but almost. Because when we sent out a guitar, we were custom making all sorts of traditional guitars. We'd send out a guitar, and the action was quite high on it. I thought it should be playing really, really great. And he was like, no, you got to dig into it. He's really into gypsy jazz stuff. And if it didn't hurt and you didn't bleed, it wasn't set up right, you know. And we'd always be at loggerheads about what was a good setup for the guitar. So what we realized with our necknology, our neck through technology, was that by adjusting it, we can actually change the height of the string. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust it while I do a 14th fret hammer on from the 12th fret.
Yeah.
You can hear that okay? And as I bring it up, you can hear it going up in pitch, of course. But you're going to hear it stop working. See that point right there?
Yeah.
It's now buzzing. Now, I'm going to bring it back and just watch what happens. I don't know if you can see how much I'm adjusting the guitar, but check this out. There, it's not working. Working. That's a quarter turn. Okay?
Really? That's
so
all.
That is less than 0.2 of a millimeter in adjustment. Just have a look at it. Look at the string height at the fretboard. Can you see me adjusting it?
I can, yeah.
Yeah.
You can see it working.
Now, can you imagine? Sorry for running away from the mic. Can you imagine if you went to your guitar tech and said, "Hey, man, can you take my my action down 0.2 millimeters?" He'd kick you out, right?
Yeah.
You know, so once you get it up to that point where it,
first he'd take your $80 and then he'd kick you out.
True.
So you get up to the point where it's buzzing, okay, right there. Now you have to learn what your sleep number is or what your turn number is. So mine is 2 turns.
Yeah.
Okay, so I go 1 turn, 2 turns. This is going to make the guitar play exactly how I like it to play. Mike Trellenberg, my buddy back home that I build guitars with, his turn is like 100. So now when I go to play it,
there we go.
It distorts, but it also it buzzes, right? So I'm okay with a little bit of buzz because I like it to play really fast, and that's how I like to go. But if we were jamming and I need to get a little more volume out of it, I would just take that same adjustment and I'd go 1 more turn, or maybe 1.5 more turns. So that's 3.5 turns. Yeah. So that's about 3 millimeters at the bass side, and it's open. We have more volume. And that was pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we can precisely, repeatably adjust the guitar under full string tension without causing any destruction at all.
Guitar techs are gonna hate you for this.
Well, you know, so it turns out that it's guitar techs actually love us for it because the things that they hate are like the 14th fret hump. Okay, I'm sure you guys have that. I don't know what you guys call it here. That's what we call it back home. But that's where the fretboard, which is on top of the resonant part of the body, which is open to humidity, can expand and contracts at a different rate than the neck does, and you get that step in the fretboard. And plus you'll get that floating 14th fret of death that all techs hate, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I've had guitar techs that have worked for me that say, I refuse to fix another one of these blah, blah, blah brand guitars because of this problem, right?
Yeah.
So with our neck system, it's solid all the way down to the 24, we're 2 octaves, or 24th fret. So that it eliminates that 14th fret hump from happening, but also gives us even volume and tone all the way up the neck. Right?
There we go.
So it's very, very cool, right?
Yeah.
You can imagine, by the way, if I told you I've invented this guitar, and as you play up the neck, it has resonances that really ring out in one note, and the other notes are really dead. And as you go up past this point here, it totally changes in sound. You'd be like, that guy's crazy. So, anyways, so by doing all that, with the humidity changes, it allows us to keep the neck nice and solid and stable.
It's incredibly smart engineering all across the board, man. You've thought out pretty much every aspect.
We like to call it just common knowledge. You know, we all know, you know, our straight string pull off of the nut that everybody does. These two screw points here, actually, they do something really cool as well. That actually moves the neck in and out of the pocket. So instead of adjusting your intonation here, which you'd have to take the saddle out, fill it in, move it, put it back in, string it up, you can actually just, in seconds, using an Allen key, this guy right here, adjust it to get perfect intonation for your playing style.
With the two screws that are on the back of the neck there.
Yeah, these two screws, and actually there's a hidden one underneath here.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So it's a 3-point system, but it's easy to do. I recommend a guitar tech do it, by the way, but it's easy to do. And we're not trying to take work away from guitar techs. We're just trying to take the work that they hate away and be able to do things like control tone, top loading, intonation, neck angle. Also, if you notice, check out our neck. Can you get I love guitars? You know, I grew up with guitars, and when I got a chance to design my own guitar, these are the things I did. Instead of making a block of wood and whittling it down to the right size, I made 30 different neck profiles, and we started too small and worked our way up. Okay? Oh, wow. So we'd go and you know, we hand build guitars too, but what we ended up doing for our neck profiles, we got a CNC machine, which is not a very expensive CNC machine, and there's still 4 hours of hand sanding that goes into every neck.
Wow.
But it gets us to the same consistency. And what we did is we made the taper from here to here, and we just started going from too small up to where it was just right, instead of going too big down.
Yeah.
And also, if you notice, can you see our strings and our fretboard edge is parallel on both sides?
Yeah, it's pretty damn dead even.
Yeah, so what happens normally, especially on inexpensive instruments, is that they make it so that it tapers out at a different rate on the fretboard than it does on the strings. So our string spacing is the same as Martin, Taylor, Gibson has. It's the exact same. In fact, this is a part number from one of those companies. And our string spacing down here is the same as a D28. Wow. So the fingering is all the same, but the taper of the neck is parallel. And that's because on cheaper guitars, this adjustment back and forth you can't do once you glue the neck on. Yeah. Same with the neck angle. Yeah. But on our guitar design, you can actually tweak it back and forth a little bit for humidity, for temperature. You never need to do a neck reset. And that means that we can be very precise with our neck angle.
So no matter what climate you live in, if you have to adjust something, it can be done by yourself. And
wow. I try to fix everything that we could find wrong with how we were building guitars before. Now let's play a game.
Sure.
Would you like to get a full neck reset done while you're playing?
Absolutely.
Okay. So grab this guitar. I'm going to grab my Allen key. And
you want to grab the DI maybe for this?
Sure. Which one is the DI?
That one.
Yeah.
And maybe what I'll do is I'll talk into your mic.
Sure, yeah.
While we're doing this.
Yep.
Oh, that sounds so much better. What? Okay, so while you're playing on it, let's turn up the volume. Okay, so we got that, right? So while you're playing, I'm going to bring it up closer. Here we go. Now it sounds like some of the other brands, right? So now...
Wow, your playing is terrible, Eric.
I know, I'm awful.
It sounds like Guitar Hero, doesn't it? So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring it back. And what I want you to look for is the point where it feels right, but also that critical point where the sound blooms, where it opens up. All right. Okay? This is the fun part. Ready? On the count of 3, here we go. And just tell me when to stop. Okay?
1, 2...
Did you hear it bloom?
Yeah, I heard the note come up.
Now are we too far?
Now it's gone too far, yeah.
Okay, so we'll just go back, because this is non-destructive. We can do this all day. This is probably the least musical this program's ever been.
That's true. I don't know about it being non-destructive.
Oh, right around there. So. That was pretty close.
Okay, now, so it feels good, right?
Yes.
Now, if we want to go back to where we started, what we can do is we just hit the tuners, hit your E string for me. And I'm just going to go a little bit closer. Hit it again. And
there we are.
Now you're going to be right back. We're back to where you started. So when you take your guitar into a guitar tech to get set up, you're like, I liked it better when we started. Well, we can get you exactly to where we started.
How many other guitar brands have this possibility out there with them? I will tell you now, none.
We actually have a patent on it. We just got.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations
Thank
on that.
you.
That's awesome.
It's a nod from the scientific community saying this is a better idea, and it's amazing for us. Yeah, we're excited.
And this is this ability to raise and lower, and the intonation as well. This is across all your instruments, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense for us to build any other way, so that's how we build our guitars.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you guys have some new things coming out, right?
We do, yeah. So of course, NAM is National Association of Music Merchants is just right around the corner. So we're here in California for that show, and I just wanted to give you guys the sneak peek of some of the new stuff that we got coming out. So let's grab the ukulele baby first. Does that sound cool?
Sure.
So everything I know about building a guitar, I put into a ukulele. Radius fretboards. Hey, it's got a truss rod in the neck. Go figure. You got two different pieces of woods in it. It's going to move and expand. It's got the diffuser disc, the side port. It's got the neck through technology.
And look on the back here, raise and lower. Two Allen keys here, or two Allen spots here for intonation.
Wow.
Yeah. Now look at the back badge. I did this to commemorate the 30th anniversary of Spinal Tap. What does it go to?
11.
It goes to 11 right on the back there. Show that right there.
I can't help
love
myself. So this is a copy of our special edition, Tradition Canadian Special Edition, but in ukulele form. Now give her a good strum, and you can hear the dynamic range of it. Do we need this mic moved over maybe?
Yeah.
There we go. And a little bit of a lower there.
How does this mic work?
Is this a stage, and I should know how a mic stand works at this point? Not the best ukulele player, but still this. I'm seeing a walnut on here again.
Yes.
So it is the same woods and everything as the SC that's behind you.
Exact same woods.
Okay.
And, this year also, because of the CITES thing that's going on with the Indian rosewood and the having to get permits to export it anywhere else, I decided that, going forward, it doesn't make any sense for us to do on our stock models any more of the so-called exotic woods, because we make great instruments with fantastic woods from British Columbia, domestic woods. So we're excited to say that we're going to be 100% sustainable and CITES approved woods.
Right on.
Yeah.
See, for all the ecologically minded out there, you guys have a new ally on your side, which is Riversong Guitars.
Yeah, we like to cut down trees and build guitars.
At least they're being built for. What was that?
Josephine D. Servio Sardo, hopefully I said that right, wants to know how much goes into such a beautiful piece. It's amazing.
A lot. I get asked that question all the time. How long does it take to build a guitar? The first one took 6 years. But there's 7 of us at our guitar factory in Canada. Again, just like domestic woods are near and dear to my heart, so is building in my hometown of Kamloops. Kamloops. I get paid every time I say Kamloops to say Kamloops. That's my hometown. That's where I was born and raised. That's where my guitar factory is. Me and my best friends build the guitars. There's 7 of us, and we pay a lot of attention to detail to the build. We love what we do. It's not about just building a box with strings on it and sending it out. In fact, we do a lot of things that doesn't make any sense to an accountant, but makes all the sense in the world to me.
Right. And well, I'll be damned if they didn't come out beautiful sounding, beautiful looking, and just, again, that shocking engineering that goes into them.
So we have one more guitar, the new stage guitar. Should we show that?
Yeah.
Go for it, Paul. Now, this thing is fun.
So this guitar is a very cool instrument. It is our new Tradition 2 GA, so it's our grand auditorium shape. But what we did that we wanted to do is we wanted to make a stage guitar, something that was thin line, something that was fun and fast to play. It's got a new neck joint on it that's adjustable. It doesn't make any sense to me to build something that's something that's not adjustable.
Yeah.
So it's got intonation adjustments on it. It's got neck angle adjustments on it. But the coolest thing with this guitar is that we actually teamed up with the great guys at Fishman Electronics. Larry Fishman, this is for you. And we loved their triple play system. In fact, in today's music, when you listen to you've got country, you've got rock, which is kind of blending together, right? And you've got like EDM stuff that is in a different vein altogether. This guitar has the triple play controller system built into it. So at its most basic level, it's a MIDI guitar, but with the triple play software, you can actually integrate it with Ableton Live. You can do all sorts of stuff. Maybe I've got a friend back home, Sean Lusu, that did a real quick demo on it, just controlling it with Ableton. And that volume that's on the front of it, it's actually not a volume control. It is a control knob that can do macros. It can do anything, really. You can control envelope filters. You can control the speed of the wobble.
So it's assignable.
It's totally assignable, and It's got basically 128 steps, and each step can do something totally different if you wanted it to. So right now, we've got it hooked up through my iPhone, which I just turned off.
And do we want to run it both as the acoustic and mix them together, or you want to just demo the...
I think that's how it should be.
DI on that, let's do the DI on that.
So we're going to plug in the DI. So what's cool is that now we're actually blending those two worlds of synthesis and guitar together. And we're the first acoustic guitar to have this new system put into it.
There we go. Now it's mixed.
So it tracks really fast. When you're actually playing with the triple play software interface, you can assign different sensitivities to every string. You can also zone your neck into 4 different zones. Now this is really easy to use. So you can have your first zone being nothing, so you can just play open chords. Your second and third zone could be something totally different, to play something with the synth pad going behind you.
Oh, wow.
Or if you want to play something that's more, exactly, a little more aggressive sounding. If you wanted to mix dubstep into what you're doing, you could do that. You know, all of a sudden the creativity is back into the guitar player's hands with this.
So this is the volume or expression knob or whatever it is.
Yeah, that is the volume for it right now. Yeah.
So right now it's assigned as a volume.
Just as a volume. Yeah. Well, we're gonna play a video, I think, a little bit later that'll show the. Should we show it right now? Check this out.
Yeah, go ahead. We only got about 4 minutes left, so let's do it.
Up and wireless system installed, which then transmits to a
that's
USB
okay. So that's
stick,
amazing,
which is
isn't it?
Well, that was awesome.
What we can do is we could put a
Ableton
link to the video
Live.
when we put this episode online
And
on
I've got
the
it
Sharpen
set up so that
EAC's show page.
this
We'll
control
throw that in
right
there.
here.
You can check it out.
I will say about this, because I in the early 2000s, I got really into MIDI guitars, like say the stuff Parker and others were doing, and I just loved the possibilities. It was a bit expensive for me at the time, but especially like when I went off to music college, I had to take all the piano proficiency tests and was just starting to get into using all the DAWs and stuff like that. And I hated that I had all these melodies, riffs, ideas in my head that I couldn't do very well on a piano. So I always wish I could afford a MIDI fly or the Z-tars like built down here. And something like this is just what I always would have hoped for.
It's all, and you know what? It wirelessly connects. The Fishman came up with their own technology. It's Bluetooth. It's super cool. So this is going to be on display at NAMM. The ukulele is going to be on display at NAMM. And the last thing I'm going to tell you about really quick, because we only got 2 minutes left.
Yeah,
something like that.
Let's check this one out too.
This is Such a cool instrument. This is the new Soulstice guitar, and I call it my Marvin the Martian guitar. You guys remember Marvin the Martian?
Yeah, Looney
shattering,
Tunes.
kaboom, you know?
Yeah.
And he was the ultimate manufacturer. If you remember, he would make his henchmen. He'd have an eyedropper, and bloop, it would drop onto the seat, and there would be this big henchman, remember?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he kept on doing that on the conveyor belt. Well, I thought I want to be able to do something like that with manufacturing of guitars. So this guitar is something really cool. That was my first idea. So I started to experiment with casting materials, carbon fibers, composites, that kind of stuff. And I thought, well, if I could just pour it into a mold, that'd be fast, right? Well, it never got fast. But I did learn something. I learned that carbon fiber or a composite like this is allows the neck to have an octave lower resonant frequency. And we figured out a way to actually impregnate the walnut fretboard into the thing. We cast it in place using vacuums and air pressure, and it actually sucks the resins into the pores of the wood, and it just locks it in place. And this thing, of course.
Oh yeah.
My mic back. It just. It rings and it sustains and it's got tone. It's got our new RS2 neck system on it, which allows you to adjust. Oops.
Right in time for NAMM.
Yeah. It allows you to adjust the action. It allows you to adjust the intonation. It is Sitka spruce top and maple back and sides. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous guitar.
Awesome. We're just about out of time here. We got about half a minute left.
Oh, also,
where can people find you online?
www.riversongguitars.com. You can check us out. Also, if you sign up on our beta testers group, because we actually listen to people at our website under Hot News or beta testers group, I will send the first 1,000 people that sign up a free guitar pick.
Oh, which by the way, these the first time they came into Pitbull Audio, you gave me a couple of these Riversong picks, and I still have all of them through heavy use. These things are awesome. They are there's ones in of all different varieties of widths, ones that are maple, ones that are walnut. I love the walnut ones. Check them all out, guys, at riversongguitars.com. I wish we had more time. You're going to have to come back and visit us again, Mike.
Sure.
I'd love to, you guys. It's awesome. Thank you.
And looking forward to running into you at NAMM.
Yeah, we'll come by the booth.
It'll be great.
For sure. This has been Sharpen the Axe on EnterTalkRadio.com. Tune in next time for more goodies. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, and good luck on winning. Thank you very much, guys.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on EnterTalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove.